So Saturday, June 27th, 2026, at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Austria, and Algeria play out a 3-3 draw in the final round of World Cup group play. ESPN calls it a win-win result for both teams on the field. Fans online split into two predictable camps. One side blames bad luck and a string of VR decisions. The other side points to everything Iran's tournament had to deal with off the pitch: the travel restrictions, the visa denials, the quick exits after every match. And almost everyone on both sides is looking at the wrong number. Now I want you to do something for me. Forget the recaps for a second. Forget the highlight reels. Go back to the actual scoreline from Iran's 3 group matches and just sit with it. 2-2 against New Zealand, 0-0 against a 10-man Belgium side, 1-1 against Egypt, 3 games, 3 draws, 0 losses. Now ask yourself a question. In a knockout-style tournament, a team that goes through its entire group stage without losing a single match usually keeps playing. You lose, you're out. You don't lose, you're still in it. Iran did not lose a single match at this World Cup, and Iran is going home anyway. That's the detail almost nobody is sitting with. Not the VAR call against Belgium, not the stoppage time offside against Egypt. The structural fact that an unbeaten team got eliminated by a result happening in a stadium 900 miles away, in a match Iran wasn't even playing in. So let's actually look at what happened, because once you understand the mechanism, the outrage online starts to look a little misplaced, and the real story underneath it gets a lot more interesting. Here's the part most casual fans don't fully track. The 2026 World Cup expanded to 48 teams, split into 12 groups of 4. Only the top 2 in each group are guaranteed a spot in the round of 32. But FIFA also takes the 8 best third-place finishers across all 12 groups and lets them through too. Which means your fate isn't only decided inside your own group anymore. It's decided by a cross-group leaderboard. Points first, then goal difference, then goals scored, then a list of secondary criteria most fans have never read. Iran finished 3rd in their group with 3 draws and 3 points. To survive as one of those 8 third-place teams, they needed a small number of exact outcomes elsewhere in the tournament to fall their way on the final match day. None of them did. Croatia beat Ghana in a result that didn't even change Croatia's already secured position. Congo beat Uzbekistan to advance on their own merits. And in Kansas City, Austria and Algeria played out the result that mattered most to Iran. Algeria's captain Riyad Mahrez scored his 2nd goal of the night in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, a brace that put Algeria 3-2 up and for about 2 minutes had Austria on the brink of elimination. Less than 3 minutes later, Austria's Sasa Kaladzic headed in an equalizer that locked the score at 3-3. That single header did 3 things at once. It sent Austria through in 2nd place in the group. It gave Algeria exactly enough points, 4, to leapfrog Iran in the 3rd place standings. And it ended Iran's World Cup in real time on a different continent than the one Iran's own players were standing on. Think about that for a second. Iran's tournament didn't end on a missed penalty or a defensive mistake of their own. It ended on a header from a player wearing an Austrian jersey in a stadium in Missouri in a match where Iran's name wasn't even on the lineup sheet. Now here's the question worth asking. If a knockout round place can be decided by a match happening hundreds of miles away that you have zero control over, what does that tell you about the shape of this format? Because this isn't really a story about one disallowed goal or one offside call or one stoppage time header. It's a story about what happens when a tournament expands to 48 teams and tries to keep the drama of a smaller format by building a point system most fans don't understand until it eliminates their own team. And here's the detail that makes this even messier. This exact matchup, Austria against Algeria, a group decided in the final minutes, has happened before. 1982, West Germany versus Austria. Both teams realized partway through that a specific, narrow result would send them both through at Algeria's expense, and the game slowed to a near standstill to make sure it happened. Football historians still call it the disgrace of Gijon. FIFA changed its scheduling rules afterwards specifically to stop it from happening again, by playing final group matches simultaneously. So in 2026, with both Austria and Algeria again needing a draw to suit them, the football world half expected a repeat, a cautious, low-effort stalemate. Instead, they played one of the most dramatic 90-plus minutes of the entire tournament, trading goals back and forth until the final whistle. By every account, it was the opposite of cynical. And Iran still went out because of it. Sometimes the system doesn't even need cynicism to produce a brutal result. It just needs math. Now I want to pull back further, because Iran's elimination doesn't exist in a vacuum, and ignoring the context around it misses half the story. This is Iran's 6th World Cup appearance. In the previous 5, they had never advanced past the group stage. This year, with 3 draws and 0 losses, they came closer than ever before and still didn't break through. This run also happened while Tehran and Washington were in the middle of negotiations to formally end hostilities from a conflict that began earlier this year. That backdrop followed Iran's players and staff through the tournament. Head coach Amir Galanoy and several players raised concerns publicly about travel restrictions, visa denials for support staff, and having to leave the United States quickly after every match they played. American officials said those restrictions were known and communicated before the tournament started. Whatever side of that you land on, here's what isn't in dispute. Iran played all 3 group games carrying that weight and still didn't lose once. 2-2 with New Zealand. A scoreless draw against a Belgium side reduced to 10 men, with an Iranian goal in the first half disallowed by VAR. A 1-1 finish against Egypt that included a missed Iranian penalty, 2 shots off the post, and a stoppage-time goal that was briefly celebrated before being ruled out for an offside measured in inches. Iranian defender Ramin Rezaian, named player of the match against Egypt for scoring Iran's only goal that day, didn't hide his frustration afterward. He told reporters he was tired and that he couldn't see where the luck was for his team because, in his words, they deserved to win that game. Iran's coach was just as direct about the officiating, calling his own side an unlucky team. Captain Mehdi Taremi struck a different tone, saying he was proud of what the team had accomplished, regardless of the result. After the elimination was confirmed, Iran's federation released a farewell statement that had nothing to do with football. It thanked the people of Mexico, specifically the city of Tijuana, where the team was based for part of the tournament, saying leaving Tijuana was, in their words, truly difficult for all of them. That's the full picture. A team that drew every game it played, got eliminated by a result happening somewhere else entirely, dealt with real off-pitch friction the whole way through, and still left with a gracious goodbye instead of a complaint about the system that sent them home. Now, let me make the other case, because you should always think this through for yourself instead of just nodding along with me. Here's the strongest argument against feeling sorry for Iran in this. They drew every single match. 3 draws means 3 results where they failed to find a winning goal against opponents they were, on paper, capable of beating. Iran had a real chance against 10-man Belgium and couldn't convert it into 3 points. A missed penalty against Egypt is on nobody but Iran. The tiebreaker rules were published well before the tournament started. Every team, including Iran, knew exactly how the 8 third-place spots would be calculated. Algeria earned their 4 points. Austria earned their result. Nobody owes Iran a knockout spot for going unbeaten if unbeaten only ever produced 3 points out of a possible 9. That argument is completely fair. It's also incomplete. It doesn't explain why a format built to expand opportunity, 48 teams instead of 32, keeps producing this exact kind of outcome, where a team with 0 losses and several defensible refereeing grievances goes home while teams with actual losses on their record advance. The tiebreaker rules are fair on paper. Whether the format itself produces fair outcomes in practice is a separate question, and Saturday night is exactly the kind of result that keeps that question open. So here's what actually happened, put together. Iran played a tournament under real off-pitch pressure, picked up 3 draws against 3 different opponents, and never lost a single match. Their elimination wasn't decided by anything they did in their own final game. It was decided in Kansas City by a stoppage time header from a player on a different team in a rerun of a fixture infamous for almost the opposite kind of result 44 years earlier. The math worked exactly the way FIFA designed it to work, and it still produced a finish that feels deeply unsatisfying to anyone who just watched an unbeaten team get sent home. So here's what I'd watch closely over the next few days. First, watch how Algeria performs in the round of 32. They're the team that directly benefited from Saturday's draw, finishing ahead of Iran on points. If they go on a real run, the tiebreaker system gets some validation. If they're knocked out immediately, the conversation about whether they deserve that spot over an unbeaten Iran only gets louder. Second, watch whether FIFA says anything official about the third-place comparison format before the next major tournament. Every cycle this expanded bracket runs, there's another headline case like Iran's. At some point, that becomes a pattern FIFA has to address instead of one it can just acknowledge exists. Third, watch the reaction inside Iran over the coming days, separate from the football conversation itself. A team that leaves a major tournament with a specific, genuine thank you to the city that hosted them instead of a public complaint about the format that eliminated them tells you something about how that locker room chose to exit. Whether that tone holds once everyone's home is worth watching too. Here's your homework. Go find FIFA's actual published tiebreaker criteria for ranking third-place teams across groups. Not a summary, the real list. Points, then goal difference, then goals scored, then a string of disciplinary and fair play tiebreakers most fans never have to think about until exactly this kind of finish forces them to. And here's the question I want to leave you with. If an unbeaten team can be mathematically eliminated by a match it never played in, decided by a header in a stadium 900 miles away, is the real story here bad luck? Or is it a 48-team format quietly trading simplicity for exactly the kind of chaotic, headline-generating drama that keeps fans glued to their phones during the group stage? Because if it's the second one, then results like Iran's aren't a flaw in the system. They're the system working exactly as designed.